Right. Welcome to the Glacially Musical Podcast. It is beer, metal, swearing, and G-Money. How we doing today? I am Nick Cameron of Glacially Musical, joined by my good friend, a man in a hat, a man who knows where it's at, who's always ready to be sat, Keefy Chackus. How we doing today, buddy?
G-Unit.
Complete unit. I'm a complete unit of a tool.
Why do you have that chain?
Lawyer wife won it at work. And she thought it'd be funny if I wore it. So I decided I was going to start wearing it in the podcast. And then I forgot it for like months. But now it's back again. If you are joining us here for our series on Pink Floyd, thank you very much. We are doing the early days of Pink Floyd. Some stuff you might not have even heard of or know that existed. Did you know an American was one of the first managers of Pink Floyd? I know Keefy did, but did you? Now you know. So here's the departments of the show. We do a beer check, vinyl check, news check, shirt check, meat of the day, which this week we are doing the first Pink Floyd compilation record, which features mostly songs from before were released any Pink Floyd albums. So, which is called Masters of Rock or the Best of Pink Floyd. This will be the first series we've ever done starting on a Greatest Hits. The Glacially Musical Beer of the Week is... What the hell is this? Springfield Brewing Company Green Ghost IPA. 6.5% of goodness. Oh, shit. Yeah, I just spilled beer on my phone. Go ahead.
Fantastic. You don't need to hold the beer right up to the lens. Like, you could just hold it and it'll focus in. Podcast of Boomers.
Always correcting me. Thanks, Daddy.
Well, I'm a cocksucking corrector. I can't help myself. We talked about
Did you just call me a cocksucker? I said it was a cocksucking call. I gotta be careful. Wife's on an important call.
Oh, all right. Sorry. Jesus. Well, I'm gonna murder my thirst with some liquid death.
You know, you third of the merst. Cheers, my friend.
Thirst. Cheers. Raw dog. Let's go. YouTube happy hour. Used to be your line. Now I say it.
I know. Anybody can say it. That doesn't matter. Alrighty. So, my vinyl check of the week. Anybody who's following the ghostcultmag.com YouTube channel has already seen me slobber and slather all over this one. This record, the story with me in it starts back in Minnesota in 2008. I decided I wanted a copy of it because I have always been the dick nuts that wants to go get the solo records and find the stuff they had never heard. And that record is Iomi Fused, featuring Glenn Hughes. It was when I was reading Glenn Hughes' autobiography. There's a good look at the cover, back cover. It's pretty nice. And it is this record. The other one in the series is not, but this is a cool blue record. So it's a nice clear translucent blue. But I couldn't find it in Minnesota, so I ended up buying the Black Keys. I forget which album it was. Not Rubber Factory. Rubber Factory's good. It was, I don't know, it was some record that was so awfully bland and boring. I don't remember what the name of it is, but this was released by Rhino Records along with the first one, which I will check at another date because I did not buy them on the same day. And these Glenn Hughes records are way better than what you might think they would be based on Keefy shitting all over Glenn Hughes and Tony Iommi doing 7 Star last week. If you didn't catch that, last week we brought in friend of the show Danny Nichols, and we did a cool episode on the best records of the 80s. And that's my vinyl check.
We fucked the decade in an hour and a half.
Yes, we did.
In almost 2 hours. I got a twofer because of the twofer is the thing this year for me. Couple of interesting ones. This was an impulse buy. Suicidal Tendencies 1982 demos. This is the demos that later became the debut self-titled Suicidal Tendencies album. This is definitely like a bootleg by a company that does not necessarily, I don't know if they have the rights to this or they just decided to put it out. There is a fun, so it's a kind of a Suicyco on the front cover with the bandana. And the back cover is cool. It's got some original art, Rich Pettibone art, who also did the Black Flag, 4 Bars, and all the classic punk posters. So Flip side, there's like some funny stuff on here. First of all, it's made in Canada by punks for the punks, according to this vinyl. And there's a little quote here. It says, "Worst band, biggest assholes. You could never keep Suicidal down." In 1982, Flipside fanzine voted Suicidal Tendencies worst band and biggest assholes. 1 year later, amidst a tidal wave of controversy, including murky rumors and gang affiliations, Mike Muir's Venice, California crew finally got the credit they deserved on the debut album. Side A, almost all of Side A is basically Suicidal Tendencies' debut album demos. Suicidal Alternative, I Shot Reagan, Suicidal Failure, Memories of Tomorrow, I Saw Your Mommy, Fascist Pig, Possessed Escape, right? Or maybe not. Maybe it's an early version of Possessed Escape because technically Possessed Escape didn't come out for a bunch of years. I Saw Your Mommy, You Are Forgiven, War Inside Myself, which I think became War Inside My Head. And then side 2, Stupid Genocide, Kill, Pseudo Mom. These are not regular album tracks. Two-Sided Politics. That's a good one. You Are Forgiven, Burn the Constitution. That's happening right now. And Kill. I listened to this. It was pretty fun. It's on a straight up black vinyl, already in the mylar, with the very, I don't know if this looks more bootleg or less, like very not great artwork. Just the S side and the T side. I don't understand this at all.
Is the S side side A at least?
Yeah, clearly.
Okay, well they got that going for it.
Yeah, but also like literally like MS Paint quality graphic here. And
I don't know
then,
if anything else that makes it more real.
And then this is a fun one. This was a gift, a band I love a lot. I don't know if you do. I was gifted this, just gifted out of the kindness of somebody's heart. This Gojira live at the Brixton Academy. I someday will go to the Brixton Academy. 2 vinyls, 3 sides of an album, and an etching I don't need of the Gojira logo. But this was
etching is better than 2 half sides.
That's fair. It's and it's like pictures from their world tour. This was a Record Store Day release a few years ago.
What's that, about 65 minutes long?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, Gojira songs tend to be either short or long. That's not very,
Just for the record, earlier, when I said the funny things, I was quoting Bull Durham. So
sure. It's got an inner sleeve, 2 inner sleeves, and then the vinyl. Again, these are pretty nice. I'll show you the etching. Obviously, the classic black already in the mylar. This goes for about $40, but this again was gifted to me. So here's just one side with a little some live imagery of some kind of weird avant-garde Photoshop job on the other label. And then let's just take a look at the etching just because I have it out. It's not that great. I'm not sure what it is. Here's another one. So it's like a concert photo. Like you could see one lone person from the back of a room and lights. And then here's the etching. I don't know if this is going to translate on camera. Oh, there we go. So you see like the little artwork from their album L'Enfant Sauvage, I think. And then the Gojira logo. Can you make that out?
And kind of. It's
very glossy.
What works better is when it's kind of like scratched into it, like really deep, because that looks more convex than concave.
Yeah, that's correct. And that's my 2 for today, sir.
So my news check this week is I'm just going to piggyback on what I had said last week about Riverport Amphitheater.
Okay. More complaints.
It's not just Riverport. The entire Live Nation series of sheds has made this change, which is kind of what I expected. And as we're recording early in the week, I just don't have a whole lot of news to discuss. So I figured I'd get that one out there. Incubus is coming to town. The Coheed and Cambria show Keefy was trying to get me to go to is not the one featuring Mastodon, actually.
Right. They announced a second set of co-headline tours with Taking Back Sunday. I can't imagine that as a band for you. Maybe Lawyer Wife. Not you.
I liked them on Degrassi Junior High and The Next Generation.
No shit. Look at you knowing punk rock.
I didn't enjoy it. I just remember them being on the
Your kid might
on
like
the show.
Them. Your kid.
My kid today. Speaking of my kid, I'm, talking to her, getting ready to come in here, and I look down and I see what she's got on Spotify. And I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute. She's like, what? I'm like, I look down and the cover's gone real fast. I'm like, wait, no, no, no. What are you listening to? Nothing, nothing. It's fine, nothing. It was the Bad Touch
Oh,
by the Bloodhound Gang.
yeah, that's disappointing.
Ah,
If you're a kid,
I know.
you're
I
gonna
know.
be in so much trouble.
I know. I'm not like my parents where I'm like policing, but
No, 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 but like, yeah,
I'm hoping she does not listen to the
kicked out of
Last Dance.
school.
I'm hoping I didn't get kicked out of school. I was
I'm saying like this is her future potentially.
no, no.
Hey, what are you gonna do?
But
Kids
there's a
need.
lot of songs on there I really, really don't want her hearing.
Oh, oh,
Like the
oh,
whole rest of the record.
like the entire record is
Like
not,
yeah, including the song she heard.
not good.
So I figured I'd creep her out and I started rapping it.
Oh, that's bad.
I figure, you know what, if anything's gonna get her off of it, it's her old dad like rapping it at her.
Yeah,
Not
yeah, yeah.
not
That,
to her, at her.
yeah, and her. Yeah, I
So I don't know if it worked, but that's my personal news.
yeah, yeah. If my father had started to like quote Kiss lyrics to me, I would have been mortified. Um, what is news? What is news? Warped Tour started to announce their first bands. They're going to do a few bands every day for the next, I don't know, 30 days. 30 days. And two of the three shows are completely sold out. No one wants to go to Orlando. Doesn't matter like what time of the year, except little kids to go to Disney. Um, do. Two cool things I wanted to talk about in vinyl. We've been kind of adrift. We're sort of off and on. Gimme Metal releases haven't been great. The one I would have did was Opeth. They sent Nick the wrong one. We still did the
No, no, that was Nick's fault. That was not their fault.
Oh, all right. Well,
It's my
in
fault.
general, like I would say, like I love that Gimme Metal exists, and I love that they're doing like exclusive things, and like you can catch a sale and get like 5 vinyls for 50 or 60 bucks, but it's more money than it used to be. The shipping is way more money than it used to be. So it's just like, I'm not saying it's diminishing returns. I'm thrilled that they exist. We just haven't been able to like pick one. You do one. Yeah. Well,
Well,
maybe a new one will come up.
not just that, but I mean, these things cost over
A
$40.
bit of money. Yeah. Like basically almost, yeah, 40 minimum for each one. So you got to want it. You got to really want it, right? Now, I was thinking about other vinyl subscriptions. We did not get a return of the Metallica Vinyl Club. I hope someday they will. I suspect I can't imagine it didn't do great. They're just busy trying to press 72 seasons and everything else they have going on and whatever else special shit they're going to put out this year.
I
So,
really liked the Metallica one, and
yeah, I love those. Those were
I thought
even
it
the
lent
records I didn't
itself.
like Saint Anger. I really loved
That's my
the.
favorite one.
I know, but it's not.
But I thought that whole series also lent itself really well to
What
to
we do.
to to the way we did it. I thought
Yeah,
that was
and I
great. But
really almost set the table for the rest of what we do now. It's kind of great. But I was gonna say I was thinking about other vinyl clubs. What else is out there? Not necessarily that we could partake in. So the Flenser is a label you have heard me speak about. Ghost Cult covers their bands. They're here in the Bay Area. I know someone who knows the owner, and I'm trying to angle myself to get an interview with them at some point. I got to really press my friend. She might even watch this. I'm not sure. She watches Ghost Cult. I don't know if she's a fan yet of this podcast, but the Flenser has a subscription deal. They usually announce the first couple of records and then it's a mystery, whatever else you get. And their stuff is very high quality. They had two or three of the best rated albums of 2024 for underground metal, and all kinds of metal, black metal, avant garde, death metal, other things. So I wouldn't be averse to doing that. And then I think we've mentioned the label Blues Funeral Records before here because they're named for a Mark Lanigan song that I love. And Blues Funeral's vinyl subscription club is called Postwax, one word, Postwax Unlimited. And they announced and they do mostly stoner rock and psychedelic rock and doom and sludge. So this is like right up our alley. It's not cheap. It's very pricey. So they do different payment plans. The entire 9 releases for a year is $329.50 including shipping.
That's cheaper than Gimme Metal if we got every one.
That's absolutely right. They do a different one with 9 releases and test pressings for $649.50, but like you don't know what they are.
I don't want test pressings anyway.
Oh, sometimes. Some people do. That's actually like a very big market, right?
Oh, I know, and so are hockey cards with part of a jersey in it, but I don't want that either.
They also have a shorter version, a 5 release version for 190. 5 records for 190 is not a bad deal.
That's still the same price.
It's just cheaper, but I'm saying it's still
Yeah.
relatively inexpensive. Then they have payment plans. You can do the 9 releases for $329.50 in 3 payments, and the same. So like they're trying. They're really trying to help a brother out or a
There's a
sister.
record label up in Wisconsin that has like a yearly subscription.
Eroding Winds, which is
That's not the one I'm
that's
thinking
their
of.
store.
Oh, yeah.
So fuck me. What's the label? They might have been shutting the label down. I wasn't sure. They have a festival every year also, right? This is gonna bother me.
It is. I can't find the name of the label.
Yeah, I'm so dumb. I absolutely know. I like literally have spent years touting these guys and buying stuff from them, and then like now it comes time to talk about them, and I don't remember.
I thought the moment I said it, you would remember it.
I know my brain is fucked. I don't remember shit right now.
Oh, I'm gonna be near there in a few months.
You are. You are. Also, if you're going to I thought you said Madison, not Milwaukee.
No, I'm going to Green Bay.
Oh, well, Milwaukee has Gilead Media.
That's it.
Gilead Media. Gilead Media, fantastic label, great bands. Some of my favorite Panopticon, some of my favorite stuff comes out on that label. Underground, black metal, death metal, doom metal, a whole gamut of extreme underground music. Their store is Eroding Winds. They have a shop and a warehouse. I bought stuff from them, probably not in a couple of years, but like since the pandemic Lovato. But I'm a fan.
Looks like that was the end of it, honestly.
Oh,
I have nothing in my email past 2020.
yeah. Well, they just might not be good at doing stuff. Like emails might not be there. The store and website is still up. And then you can buy collectible used LPs on Discogs. And their store is in Appleton, Wisconsin, and they have 2 stores, Appleton and Oshkosh. I'm not sure where I don't know geography, so if that's close to where you're going, maybe you should go. Rushmore Records is a place also in Milwaukee that I've also repped and bought stuff from. So anyway, vinyl subscriptions are out there. If you're interested, it's a thing. I wouldn't mind doing it again someday, you and I. Or if a Gimme release in the next couple of months pops up and my...
Sorry, Eroding Winds actually is completely on the way. It might even be where I'm staying.
Interesting.
I don't have that information yet. It's that close to Green Bay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah. They have Warrant, the best of Warrant, vinyl variant 2LP red vinyl, 180 gram for $50. I know you're going to buy that.
They can keep it.
Yikes.
They have to pay me $50.
Dang.
I said what I said.
You said what you said. I don't have a lot else. There's not a lot else going on, pal. It's just
well, we're
I guess the Fire
early.
Aid is this week, right? The Fire Aid show is this week in LA. So it's Chili Peppers and Alanis and Green Day and a bunch of other bands I don't care about. But like it's cool that they're doing it.
We're also recording this earlier in the week because by the time this publishes, likely my review of 6 Feet Under and Nile will have been submitted.
Not in that order. Well, actually, yes, in that order. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how the review.
It's a 4-band night. Oh my god!
On a Wednesday.
Danny Nichols has offered to drive me, so
that's great. What a great
kind
guy.
of him. He is a great guy.
He is the best. I hope people have listened to that podcast. Like it was amazing train wreck, but not because of Danny. Danny's great. You and I are.
I will say so far.
When we get a guest on, we just lose our composure completely.
Not that we have a whole lot to begin with.
Not zero, but less than zero, like worse.
But I got the greatest compliment I've ever gotten on one of my podcasts about that one. It's a friend of mine who is a literal DJ, said he loves listening regardless of the content, because regardless of what we're reviewing, because the content of the review is so entertaining. So we're getting, I mean, and just for the record, the episode of Danny Nichols so far is the best episode in terms of views in the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks.
That's crazy.
So Danny did good work.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's like I said, he's a great contrast to me and you, and you know, like
unlike us, he doesn't care what anybody else thinks about what he cares about.
Well, I don't care.
He doesn't. Much. Let me rephrase. He doesn't have to justify.
Fair.
His response is, "I like Motley Crue. Fuck you." Basically, he didn't say that. He's too nice to say that, but that's basically what it is. Okay, so my shirt check. Not friend of the show, doom metal stalwarts that exist no more. They never did make a third record, but at least I got the first 2 on vinyl. Great records, if you haven't heard them, if you like doom.
Unrules. I changed my camera up a little bit. And I am wearing, is this technically a Metallica shirt, the good, the bad, and the ugly?
It's name three good, bad, and uglies. Is it from that movie?
I mean, it's the movie poster.
I mean, is the song.
The Ecstasy of Gold is one of the many Enrique Morricone songs, or Ennio Morricone songs on the soundtrack.
I'm sorry, I don't.
He's Italian. I made him Spanish. I apologize.
I don't watch spaghetti westerns. I watch the Japanese movies they are adapted from.
I've seen all the spaghetti westerns. I don't like Clint Eastwood anymore, but I will say that he is a phenomenal actor and director in his time. Unfortunately, he's lost his fucking mind, but he's 90, like 80 something, still working.
Yeah, it's shocking that he's not dead.
Yeah, he's old and still working. It's crazy.
And Dick Van Dyke is the same way. So what are you going to say? Dick Van Dyke's in his 90s.
No, he's 100, I think, or 96.
Is he really?
And Alan Alda is 96, and he's still doing theater.
Is he really?
He is 100 million years old. Yeah,
wow.
I'm worried about him, but he's like working. He's a working actor still.
Oh, there you go.
Some bizarre shit. But
right.
That's our shirt check. We did all the checks. It is time for the meat.
Let's move on in. This is going to be a bit of a shorter episode just because this is a short record. And so we're going to really build up on the history of this right now. Pink Floyd starts when 2 men called Roger meet each other. Roger Barrett and Roger Waters. And both of these 2 men are not just called Roger. They are both architects at Cambridge, I believe it was. Oh, I believe it was.
It might have been the London School of Art, where Keith
Richards was
also there.
Oh God, no. Anyway, they met at architecture school to be building drawers. They were going to be like Simon, and they were going to do drawings. But so these 2 gentlemen, both called Roger, both are studying to be architects, both love music, and both lost their father in the war. Remember, this is the mid to early 1960s, and in the mid-1960s, England was still very much reeling from World War II. Our generation, Gen X forward, we really don't know what war is. We have never really experienced a war that wasn't this thing far away on television. And I remember when Russia invaded Ukraine 2 years or 3 years ago, Duncan talked about it, and you could hear the nervousness in his voice. Because a land war in Europe is a scary thing for them because it can easily draw them in. It would be like somebody being in a war. It would be like Illinois being at war with Indiana. And us going, you guys are fine, stay over there. So we don't...
Indiana would lose that shit, bro.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course they would.
Chirac represent. Pew, pew, pew. Sorry.
So it's like if St. Louis went to war with Missouri, you know we would win that war.
The whole state of Missouri would be subsumed by St. Louis in a day.
Or we would just get out and be like, we're done. Anyway, we wouldn't have to rise again. We would rise up the first time. Anyway, so where was I? So England is still reeling. They're still on rations. They're still eating like they're saving up for the next war because England is a country that lived through way too many wars, to be honest, where they were the aggressor, where they were the defender. And there were times where they couldn't defend themselves or their interests later because they didn't have any money. So not great things. But so these two guys bonded, and originally they formed a band called the T. I'm sorry, no, it wasn't Syd and Roger. Syd comes later. I apologize. The T set is formed. They're a blues band, and then when they meet, when the Rogers meet, then we become. I believe at that point they were named
Architectural Abdabs.
the Screaming Abdabs.
The Screaming Abdabs originally was the Architectural Abdabs, and then they thought that was too much to say.
It is
like too long to write on a poster. So
that's got more syllables than the entirety of Cause of Death.
The Screaming Abdabs. It's like, what the fuck?
You know what the Abdabs are?
Yeah, so much drugs. These guys.
No, it's not that. It actually had a meaning back then. It's like getting the heebie-jeebies.
The ick.
All right, so they
for you kids out there, the ick.
They became the Screaming Ick. You know, that's even worse. I mean, anyway, so eventually, Syd joins and they stop being bluesy. The other guy leaves. I saw an interview with him and he said, the greatest thing I ever did for Pink Floyd was leave. Because for him, it wasn't serious. It wasn't I don't know if it was serious for the other guys at this point. Nick Mason is on record, I believe in his book, feeling guilty about not really ever practicing. He had a bit about, the concept of 10,000 hours. And he's like, I didn't need 10,000 hours to do what I did.
But he was innately good at drumming. Like he had a gift, right, for drumming.
Oh, completely. I think they all had a gift. And the only one of them that knew what they were doing on day one was Rick Wright.
That's correct, because he was a jazz trained piano player. That's right.
Right. You can't be a piano player on day one in a band. If that was day one with your piano.
With the skill that he had and the ear that he had and the modes and chords he knew that augmented whatever Syd was doing in the early days.
Isn't it just always the way where every band, when they form, there's one dude that knows how to play?
Yeah, there's one.
And then he teaches them?
And he's very happy to kind of carry the band for a while. And then they later on disgrace and fire him. That's what happens.
Were we talking about Dave Mustaine or were we talking about Rick Wright here?
Rick Wright here, but you're also correct. Also, see also XYZ. See also.
Yeah. That's
all of White Zombie not named Rob. Everybody.
Oh, God. Why do you got to bring that up? Why do you got to bring up? No, we don't need to bring that.
We need to do White Zombie this year.
Yeah, we could do a White Zombie run. It's Los Exorcisto. Tracked front to back.
Doing both records. And maybe
not all three?
Maybe Make Them Die Slowly. I don't want to do the remix record.
No, not that one. The one before Los Exorcisto.
Yeah, Make Them Die Slowly.
I don't know the name of that crap. I haven't heard it. I don't want to listen to More Human Than Human again, but I will.
Yeah, you will. It's great.
I said I will. Anyway, moving on.
Go back.
So they, apart from Syd, they really weren't attractive gentlemen. And am I wrong?
You're brutal. I don't know about that. I think Rick was pretty handsome.
Look at Roger Waters.
No, he's not attractive, but
okay.
I don't think Rick was unattractive, and Nick looked pretty cool as a younger, shaggier guy.
Okay, well, later, yes,
he's not less attractive than John Bonham or Bill Ward as a drummer.
Would you call them attractive gentlemen? I would not.
I would say pretty attractive. Yeah.
I disagree.
Your taste in men is different than mine. I live in San Francisco, and I could be turned into a bear at any time if a wizard came along like Gargamel and just was like.
We really do run the gauntlet on this show.
We absolutely do.
But
gauntlet of dicks.
I think, wow, the cuttlefish of Cthulhu spinning on a circle. What I think the fact that these guys were not, especially, Syd becomes a beautiful sprite later, but if you look at him in the beginning and you look at Roger in the beginning, these are two very awkward people. And they are the main voices of the band, primarily Syd. And I think that's what leads them into the concept of the Pink Floyd anonymity. The Pink Floyd anonymity and light shows start very early. And we're going to discuss that more at length next week when we discuss the first live album that was released much later than it was recorded. Kind of like this one. But now we're talking about 1966-ish, basically, right now. And, oh, I'm sorry, they were also the Pink Floyd sound. So it was the T-set, the Screaming Abdabs, the Pink Floyd sound.
When were they the Megadeths or something?
I don't think they ever were.
Yeah, they were 100%. Before they were the Pink Floyd sound, they were the Megadeths, and then they were the Pink Floyd sound. And
I mean, seriously, these names that they went through that they discarded, it must have been like weeks.
It's entirely possible.
Because the band starts in 1965.
I kind of wish I had gone back and watched those two, the Have You Got It Yet? Syd Barrett documentary. Maybe I'll try to watch it this week.
And you don't need to watch that one. There's another one on YouTube.
The Hypnosis documentary, which has all of their friends, because like literally the story of Hypnosis.
I've watched that too.
Pink Floyd. Yeah. We both saw it last year, and or in the last year. And the Hypnosis one, the art collective does not happen if there is no Pink Floyd. They were their first client, their first patron, did all their albums for a long time.
You want to talk about just the swinging 60s dudes that just never stop being swinging 60s dudes? Watch Have You Got It Yet? Because they are in that movie, and I've seen documentaries from them from 1972. And they are the same people. They just have gray hair now. Like, there is this gay dude who wears, like, a Michael Jackson, I don't know what you call it. Like the red coat stuff with the...
He's wearing, like, the marching band attire.
Yeah.
But, it's not Revolutionary War red coats, but it's close.
Okay. Yes, I said I don't know what it's called. And I loved him. He was just a delight. And I don't remember if he was holding a poodle, but if he wasn't, someone should get him one, because that would just fit his vibe, because it would look just like his hair. And it's just like, as these people got older, as they aged, they just got weirder and weirder, which is amazing.
Let your freak flag fly, everybody. Completely, doesn't matter what age, but there's definitely, like, those documentaries have interviews with friends of them today that are still, like, did not upgrade their fashion or haircuts or anything.
Oh no.
Evan, and one guy's like, I still favor quite a bit of weed. Like, no kidding. No, really? You think?
I like a cup of weed to go with my tea.
Do tell.
Yeah, oh yeah, those guys.
Weed is in the shops everywhere. It's great. I don't have to have a guy. I was like, I was too sober for this showing of the film. Continue.
So, in the 1960s, the world of music was very different. FM radio was barely a thing. FM radio hasn't crushed AM yet. And the few AM FM stations that do exist at this time, like KC95 or KSD, and what's the one in New York? Roxy or whatever?
Well,
it doesn't exist anymore.
WNEW is still there. That was the rock. FM was the rock station, and AM was the news station.
No, I'm talking about the one with Fay Ray and King Kong. Is that a real station? I don't know. Never mind.
RKO?
Yeah, RKO.
I don't think that was a thing in my lifetime, but maybe.
No, but it would have been back then.
Maybe, yeah.
The KC95 is the oldest rock station in America, but it was not the first. The ones that predated it are gone. But it couldn't have been many years. But if you go back to the 50s, in the early 60s, the long-playing record, what we call an album today, regardless of format, kind of existed. It wasn't until the Beatles in 65 or 66 really made the long-playing record an art form. Up until that point, like if you go back to friend of the show, Johnny Cash's records, his records are not art form. They're not. It's not an art. It's not a statement. It's not a collection. It's just a series of singles. And then if you look on the side of it, if you look on the label, which is where the term record label comes from, of course, you will see that Johnny Cash is basically the Wonders. You know, how many songs do you get to write, John? You get one cut each side, and the rest you do from the Playtone label. So, Pink Floyd is a band that is kind of straddling these two eras.
Nick is referencing the movie That Thing You Do with Tom Hanks, just letting you know.
Oh my God, I love that movie. But it's a great movie if you really want to know the ins and outs of what the music industry was like back in the 50s and 60s. It's rough. It was rough then. It's rough now. But if you look at Johnny Cash or Waylon Jennings, which I've got a bunch of Waylon Jennings records from before he was Outlaw Country, and he's got doing Johnny Cash and Chris Christopherson. They all covered each other just to fill out a record. Johnny Cash was doing 3 or 4 albums a year. And these albums went anywhere from the short side of 22 minutes to 33. The first Jefferson Airplane album was only 22 minutes long. It wasn't until the repress in the 70s when they found some other stuff to stick on it that it got to 30. So the idea of an album, like if you think of an album and an album artiste like I do with Led Zeppelin, if you think about Led Zeppelin 3 and Led Zeppelin 2, those things are just amazing flowing rivers. It's like riding the Mississippi from Lake Itasca in Minnesota all the way down to New Orleans. This wasn't a thing yet when Pink Floyd is signed. And Keefy, what is the record label that we all know Pink Floyd being on for so many, the original years? The original years.
EMI.
I would have said Harvest.
Yeah, well, Harvest is the American version of EMI.
Is it?
Yeah, it's EMI is the main label. Yep.
Alrighty. What record label released most of these songs?
Fuck if I know.
Columbia Records.
Oh, Columbia, okay.
Because they were not signed to an album deal at this point.
Did they have like one of those development deals? Is that what they had?
I'm not sure if it was development deals. I don't remember specifically, but they had a series of singles. This is still in an era when getting a single on the radio meant you got better shows. In 1967, I think the world of music is a better place than it is now. Because you didn't have Spinal Tap opening for that guy at the Enormo Dome where they sold it out in Seattle. I forget the guy, Duke something or other. I don't know. We had to apologize for him. They were still booing him when we took the stage. Oh, terrible, terrible. This much talent. Anyway, you still had regional bands. You didn't have to do world tours. You didn't have to sell out football stadiums or baseball stadiums. This is before the Beatles play Shea Stadium, before they play Busch Stadium in St. Louis, before Grand Funk Railroad somehow sets the record for the fastest sellout of Shea Stadium of all time, beating the Beatles, before Kiss playing at the Anaheim Angels, or the California Angels time, California Angels baseball stadium with Ted Nugent and other guys.
Random question. Worst discography, Foreigner or Grand Funk? That's so hard.
By discography, do you mean greatest hits?
I mean all their albums.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and keep talking and pretend like you didn't say that because I don't want to think about that.
Once in a while, you never know when a psychotic villain is going to come along with an impossible choice. Save the woman you love or suffer the little
I think it's Grand Funk.
I don't know. It's close. It's fucking close.
I know.
A pox on us both.
I'm sorry for both of those things I did.
That's your fault, not mine. I picked good series. You pick other music that sucks.
Here's where it gets interesting. They have an American working with them. What is his name? Oh God. Oh, Andrew King. So they have Andrew King and Peter Jenner who are managing and semi-producing them while they're signed to Columbia. And while they're doing this is when, what a lot of people don't really realize is this is when Syd started getting squiffy. It wasn't right away. And I think had they not done this deal we probably would have had a longer lifespan of Syd's music because he could have just gone in and recorded with the band and not having these guys knocking on his door, as they put it in all the biographies and all the documentaries that I've seen, knocking on his door saying, "Where's the record? Where's the song? What's going on? We got to get to Top of the Pops." And so Pink Floyd does play on television during this time. They do get songs during this time. They did a promotional video for Arnold Lane, which we're going to discuss in a little bit. That's just what this era of music was. It wasn't. Like when I think of making an album, I'm largely thinking about Metallica going into one-on-one studios in Los Angeles, California for 16 to 18 months to make the Black Album. 60s, you might not have even got to make a whole record. You might only got a 45. And then when you do get an album, they're not going to give you 6 months in the studio. You've got to get it done in a week. The longest Kiss spent on an album in the 70s, up to Dynasty, because I don't know how long that one was a month. And that was Destroyer with Bob Ezrin. Everything else was done in a matter of days. The first Doors record, self-titled, was done in 6 days. They recorded it in 6 days. These guys, basically, would write and record a song in a weekend. And then you'd press it the next weekend, and then you'd try to get it on the radio. And that's the world we are living in right now, or they were at the time. So the recording we're looking at is because once Harvest EMI acquires Pink Floyd, and that's for Saucerful of Secrets. So they have Pink Floyd from Saucerful of Secrets through Metal. Damn, they got off the train just one album too soon. But when they switched to whatever label, I forget what the label they switched to then was. Ooh, give me a second here. Dark Side of the Moon was released on Capitol Records. So it was Harvest Capitol. So when they switched to Capitol Records, what Harvest would do is they would release greatest hits and compilations up to the point they were at. So that's how we got things like Relics. And what Columbia did was they released an album in 1970 called The Best of Pink Floyd. And that's what we're reviewing today. That's what we're going through today. There are 4 songs. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 songs out of the 10 that ended up being released on Piper at the Gates of Dawn. Everything else was only a single. A couple of them appeared on Relics. Some of them appeared on See Emily Play. Ended up again on Amagama. And some pressings it was studio, some pressings it was live. There was one song, however, that did not make it. And that is Point Me to the Sky, which was the very first time Roger Waters and Dave Gilmour collaborated. Don't know if it's any good. I haven't heard it, but it's out there. And a lot of these songs, I don't think
I've ever heard it. No.
A lot of these songs, and I didn't even know about Apples and Oranges, which is the first song on side 2, until the kid and I saw the Syd Barrett, Have You Got It Yet? And then we had to listen to it on the way home. And that was eye-opening. That was eye-fucking-opening. And so, just like anybody did, the record label tried to cash in on the name to see if they could get a couple of bucks. What you got on them? What's your thoughts on this, Keefy?
A couple of things. So, right, Best of Pink Floyd reissued later on as the Masters of Rock, and that's a series.
The French version.
Well, there's several versions. So the 1970 version that we're going to talk about today is the original compilation, and compilations were a bigger deal back then. I don't think bands would have had a compilation after 2 albums and some other stuff, but as we will discover through this series, I think, how did Pink Floyd become the Pink Floyd we know later? Because of the hype around them. And maybe this is a British thing. We talked about this, like Oasis. How did Oasis, they're so huge in Europe, and they're not that huge. They're huge enough here. They're a hit band here. They're doing stadiums here, but not like over there. 80,000 versus 250,000 per show over in Europe. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So, you know, other albums in the Masters of Rock series continuously from
I did not
EMI.
know there were more.
There are more. Hawkwind, Rare Earth, that would be a good DMA band. Sammy Hagar for some fucking reason. Masters of Rock Festival. I think I have this on vinyl. We've talked about this before from the Czech Republic. And yeah, so there are other albums in the series, but Pink Floyd is the one that's best known and sold the most, sold 100,000 copies of the French editions. And then
Which is what I have.
Which is what you have, and I listened to today. And the 1974 and probably the 78 for you edition.
Yeah, I have 78.
They swapped out an alternate take of Julia Dream, which is David Gilmour's first vocal appearance on a Pink Floyd song, and comes from the brief period. I don't know why this helicopter is just magically happening right now. It is not time for the wall, guys. Bring this back in a couple 6-7 months. I think there was a, you have the details on this. I don't. I am not sure of the exact time. So Gilmour comes in at the very end of Saucer, right?
No.
Or after Saucer?
No, before.
So he had a complete, there's like there's a time when there's 5 guys in Pink Floyd.
Yeah, about a year.
The whole year? I don't think it's
maybe like 6 months. He comes in on the tour of America.
Because Syd, the other Roger, Syd is not functioning anymore. So David's in there to like cover him, but like it's not coverable anymore. And we'll talk more about that at the appropriate time. But like, so that Julia Dream take is David instead of Syd, which had to be weird, right? Like, I don't know if he noticed. You hear a lot of, I would say when you listen to this record, and I hope people are, my hope for our podcast is that people get inspired to go check these records out, except when they're shitty.
With this one, let me say, because I don't know what YouTube stream you listen to, but not only did I listen to this on vinyl, I listened to it on YouTube to get, through my day. And the YouTube stream I listened to was a very dirty record. Because the channels would switch in and out.
Well, that's on purpose. It was mixed that way to go stereo. It was stereo panning for different parts of songs. It was meant to be like an out of body, try to create like a spatial experience before quadraphonic sound existed. What people would do is
I'm still going to say that was a bad pull off the record because my record sounds way better. My record sounds way better than what I heard.
Yeah. I don't have the record. I don't have the benefit of the record. Hold on.
Well, we came across it at Dead Wax Records, and it was only like $20 or $15. And I didn't buy it, and I regretted it. And I went back 2 weeks later, and it wasn't there, and I ordered it on Discogs. FOMO gets me, man. That's why you made fun of me for buying Girls for like $30. If I didn't buy it for $30, and next time I would have found it, it'd have been $40.
Look at my face.
You look at
people listening on podcast only.
Do you see my face?
I'm shaking my head.
You see my face?
I see your face. It's a very kissable and punchable face at the same time.
Whenever you see this face.
Nick thinks that I don't love him, by the way. He said repeatedly the last few episodes that I don't love him. I absolutely love him. I want him to aspire to be a better person. That's what you have to do. I know what I have to do. I have to stop being a cunt. You have to be a nicer person. Better taste, make better decisions. I don't know what you have to do. I have to stop being a cunt. That's what my shrink said.
All right, let's discuss this record and keep the rig rolling. Chapter 24, that's a track off of Piper at the Gates of Dawn. I don't think there's anything special about this version. I don't know what you think.
Off the bat, a couple more thoughts.
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, no, just like the sequencing of this is bizarre, right?
It is very bizarre.
It's like not done.
I would have sequenced it chronologically.
That obviously, but also like maybe because the randomness of Syd's writing.
Right. It's never gonna be
symmetrical sequence record.
No, it's these were. I mean, Arnold Lane is the closest thing on this album apart from, of course, Chapter 24, Matilda Mother, which was misspelled on this compilation as Mathilda Mother, and The Scarecrow. Arnold Lane is the only one of these songs that sounds like a Pink Floyd song.
Like, what is a Pink Floyd sounding song? Again, we're discovering this is a very
embryonic.
I applaud your choice to do this first, because no one else would do it this way, and I wouldn't have chose to do it this way, but I like that you did it, because it kind of pushes us to talk about things in a different, or in a non-linear sense, which might be the only way this is inspiring for you and I, rather than pulling our puds all over the podcast here. It's a strange sequencing. I don't think the band chose it.
No,
the band they chose it.
No, the band they were working on Amagama.
Yeah, whatever.
At the time when this
is what I'm saying.
No.
And the writing credits are mostly all Syd, except a couple of other tracks. And
yeah, there's one Raj, one and two Richard Wright.
And it's a lot of Syd and Rick singing. Like a lot of Rick singing. A lot. Like,
it was always strange to me that Rick just kind of stopped singing.
Well, he didn't stop singing as much. I think when it started being Roger's band, there's only two people who could, Roger wanted to interpret his stuff, and that's David and himself.
I also thought, I don't have a problem with Rick singing, but I felt it's kind of a Freddie Brian May situation for me.
Oh no!
That's how it is for me. That's just Nick
Rick
talking.
Is a superior singer. Listen, Roger is great.
No.
Brian
I'm not talking about Rod. I'm not talking about Rick and Roger. I'm talking about Rick and Dave.
Oh well.
No, Roger is the worst singer of the bunch. Maybe Nick.
But he's great at carrying a lyric emotionally. Correct. He wrote them. I don't think he could sing someone else's stuff as potently.
No.
But like so there's two things separately here. Like, so Rick can actually sing.
Yeah, completely.
Like, Rick could have been a lead singer in his own band.
In any band.
Huh?
In any band.
Yes.
He could have been the lead singer of Pink Floyd.
Let's say like David and maybe the musician that David is and Rick are such high echelon musicians that they just naturally knew how to harmonize together, because when they sing together, it's angelic and wonderful and makes a nice contrast to Roger.
Roger's grit is in anger.
Yeah, which is why
it's something those two can't do.
Which is why Animals works well, which is why The Wall is so great vocally, which is why Wish You Were Here works, because of the differences. But
except for when Roger sings on Wish You Were. Roger should not sing anything on Wish You Were Here apart from Welcome to the Machine.
Well, I liked his so you just assume that Roy Harper is also Roger. Right? Like, they're almost the same.
Yeah, but he did it really well. I get viscerally angry whenever I hear Roger's versions of Wish You Were Here, the song.
Well, no, Wish You Were Here.
They're bad. They're bad.
No. He should not do it. I know it's his anthem, and he loves the song. And the song.
Yeah, you know what? That's
someone else in the band to just sing it and take a break.
He does now. He lets Jonathan Cairn sing it now. Anyway, let's. Anything important to say?
Chapter 24 is not much there.
No, okay. I believe these were just
one
singles.
Of the Blah songs.
These were just singles that ended up on Piper.
Yeah, they just wound up on Piper. Yeah,
right. And then Matilda Mother, same thing. Good song. Again, good song. Now
the building blocks of the Syd style are here also.
Oh, completely. Right. And we're gonna get to the cavities of the Syd style soon. Not now. We're gonna get to Arnold Lane.
Deep and hard.
What?
Roto-Rooter. Deep and hard, Bork.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get to the building blocks of Barrett. Not Pink Floyd, but Barrett. Any strong Pink Floyd fans will catch that reference. So Arnold Lane, I love Arnold Lane. Who sings this one, Keefy? Is this Rick? I feel like it's Rick.
I don't know. I always thought it was
Syd. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Matilda Mother. I got the vocals messed up. No, that's definitely probably Syd. This is where Pink Floyd. I think this is the moment they become Pink Floyd, because this is where the idea of just swapping the worlds comes to play. Arnold Lane is a cute little song that could have been on. Tell me you couldn't have heard that song, not the lyrics. Tell me you couldn't hear Paul McCartney sing that song on Sgt. Pepper's.
I agree. I think Arnold Lane is the first real true Pink Floyd song in terms of the band we get to know next.
Just like Motor Breath is the first Metallica song.
Okay.
It is.
Um, I don't agree, but okay.
That's where James Hetfield's vocal styles became James Hetfield's vocal style. Counts.
Well, okay.
Yeah, ask others.
So yeah, there's the psychedelia, to quote Duncan Evans. There's sort of this proto acid rock in it. There's
It's a cute, friendly song.
it's a pop song at heart. I hear some Beach Boys in there with the
Hmm.
vocals,
Oh yeah.
like,
And
but
then
it's
what are they
also
singing
very
about?
original. There's some avant-garde guitar stuff going on that like you catch on repeat listens. It's like, what is he doing there? Because he's just such a bonkers style of guitar.
Yeah,
He's
Sid
really
was.
skilled at guitar.
Yeah, he would use a Zippo as a slide even.
Yeah, he had a lot of ideas. He saw what everybody else was doing, and he was like, "Not me. I'm gonna do my own thing."
He was Tom Morello before Tom Morello
He
was.
was Tom Morello before Tom Morello. He was like, "I'm not gonna repeat the beats of other people. This is at the height of the British blues explosion."
Oh, completely.
Clapton, Beck, and Page, and Pete
And he looked
Townsend. There's
Jimi
stuff that could be the
Hendrix.
Who. This could have been a Who song,
Yeah, yeah.
like a good one, not the crappy ones.
It could have
I
been like
said
a
what I
'60s
said.
Who song.
Well, some of those are crappy, and yeah, yeah,
And then
borderline like
then
what
you
I do.
have the story about a dude who's stealing women's underwear off
Yeah,
clotheslines.
yeah. It's like very out of the box. It's not a pretty song. It's a pretty sounding song. It's not a pretty topical song. And that's, I
And if
think,
you
the genius of Sid,
right,
to marry
and
those things.
that's what Roger steals.
I don't know.
That's what he steals.
I don't know.
And think about how
You love
beautiful.
Roger, so I'll let you have it.
No,
I don't.
this is not me loving Roger. This is me saying Roger knew where to steal. He took a Sid concept and made it his own. He Jimmy Page Syd Barrett. I said what I said.
Careful, careful. You are gonna poke the fucking bear.
Which
Uh,
bear?
this fucking bear, the San Francisco bear,
Okay, whatever.
Yogi Bear.
So
You ain't
the
gonna get a
song
picnic basket. You're gonna get a knuckle sandwich.
a knuckle sandwich.
You gotta start eating sandwiches, Vinny. You're getting too fat. Tomorrow we eat sandwiches instead of a whole 10-course meal.
What was that?
Goodfellas. The jail scene. The jail.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I
Someday
haven't watched that.
I will make the Goodfellas dinner at some point for someone.
I can. I just haven't done it. I guess I should make the steaks and pans too, and they weren't even cast iron. They were just like steel skillets.
Fucking aluminum non-stick, just a
Yeah.
fucking pan.
Hey, he said he made a good steak. Do you know who that was? That was Pete Dio.
Johnny
He was
Dio.
Johnny Dio. He was in life for prison. He had to get a life sentence for throwing acid into a reporter's eyes.
Amazing.
And Ronnie James Dio, when they were up in the Catskills,
Ronnie James Dio could not reach anyone's eyes. Oh,
would claim that that was his uncle.
because he's the man on the shiny blue milk crate.
And so that way they got like extra billing and stuff. That worked great until the actual Dio showed up on a show. Anyway, so let's move on to the first disappointment of the record. I would say, "Candy in a Currant Bun." The Sid formula of sweet and schmaltzy and lovely only works when it works, and this song is bad. This doesn't sound anything remotely like what we would describe as Pink Floyd. It reminds me of Baby Lemonade from Sid's solo career, except not as good.
Yeah, I'll say this. There's a very fine line between adventurous and avant-garde and bad. And if you do it wrong, it's bad. And if you do it well, it's interesting and avant-garde and creative. This has never been one of my favorite
And
songs.
if you win 20 games in the show, the press will say you're colorful. If they had put out a platinum record before this, they would say it's colorful.
Right. What a left turn for them. It's so cool. No, it's not cool. It's not good. It's not good. Hey,
Next,
you're not right. Did you say this is the worst song on here? This is the
no, I
worst
said
song.
it's the first disappointment.
The first disappointment. Oh, that means there's more than one. Let's go.
Yes, there are more than one. Next, we move on into the Scarecrow, which, as we all know from Piper at the Gates of Dawn, it was the backside of the single to See Emily Play. Why the fact these singles aren't like, the A then the B, the A then the B. That would make so much more sense to
would
me
be
than the way they've done this.
Front loaded.
Like what
Arnold Lane and
what they should have done was like the side A should have been all the A sides in a row. And then side B should have been all the B sides.
I think even the band would have chose to do this over this weird sequence that makes no sense logically.
No, it's a very disjointed album. And when you think about Pink Floyd, even Pink Floyd in their most avant-garde and adventurous phases, even listening to their soundtrack records, they made coherent records. They made a coherent statement. This is like flipping channels, like, you know, somebody pushing buttons on your car stereo every 3 minutes. So we flip the record, and then we get to the biggest disappointment of the record: Apples and Oranges. Frankly, Syd is out of key on his vocals in the entire record, on the entire song. And this sounds like the stuff he was making not during Madcap, not during Madcap Laughs, not during Barrett, but in the session where they tried to get him to do one more song.
Yeah, it seems like a rejected song they should not have put on. They didn't choose to put it on here, but like someone chose to put it out.
It was a single, though.
It was a single. Somebody should have thought a little more carefully about putting this out. I like Paintbox, by the way. I've always liked Paintbox, and we'll talk about it in a second. And this is the stereo mix, as if that's better than the mono mix. So this is that panning you were talking about, which doesn't help the song at all.
Nope.
Yeah, I think it's like Syd's lost it and he can't function, and they're just trying to like press record and see if any of this is workable.
Yes. That's what they got. That's what they got that day. Ugh. And the thing was, we are now.
I don't like it. It's
we're
like,
now
it's time for androgyny. It's Pat, like that.
And Chris. Now we're at the point where Syd is a coin flip. Flip a coin. Maybe you get good Syd. Maybe you don't. But either way, they were still pressuring him, and I think that's ultimately what led to his downfall. Was that they just couldn't.
You know what's weird?
Gel.
I've read a lot of Pink Floyd books, as have you. I've seen all the documentaries. I've spent a lot of time and thoughts on this. I don't know that the band was pressuring him.
I'm not saying the band.
I think making art, being a personality, being a person in that hypnosis, London art swinging
enclave.
That's a good word. I think those things are separate from, it's a job now. I have to show up sober. I have to agree with all these other guys when this shit was my idea in the first place. It's not my band anymore when Roger and Rick are starting to take over and do stuff that I don't like. So he never saw, I think he started to become fractured there. And I think, it's a job, which is what happens to a lot of people. Fun fact. I don't know if you remember, I'm from New York City.
No.
And I've probably never mentioned this before. I went to the famed High School of Performing Arts and Music and Art. You
really should talk about yourself more.
Fame television show and movie. And I sang with Whitney Houston and sang for her president. And I met Debbie Gibson, and she said Aerosmith was her favorite band. And Steven Tyler was her favorite singer. Hard to believe, but true. And a lot of people go to the talented and gifted school, and then they don't want to do this shit anymore. Like, when I was doing like a special thing myself, I was fantastic and unique and special and gifted, and now I'm not so special anymore. So
you've just described why, for the most part, when I ran any sort of blog, I did not like working with anybody else because they didn't do shit the right way.
Well, I
like
didn't
do it my way.
I hope you.
No, you're fine. I mean, you're mean, but I mean, it's fine.
I just cry. You're drunk, so it's fine. Like,
I'm not drunk.
Right when you're sober, and we'll not have a problem.
I'm not gonna write when I'm sober.
Oh fuck. Anyway,
I'm gonna be like Philip Seymour Hoffman. Just take some speed and just like
do a little cough syrup and take some speed, a mescaline, and then just write, man, like 25,000 words of dribble.
Gobbledygook. That was
just to write on Coltrane or the Platters. I don't know what the fuck he's Hendrix. I don't remember what he said.
You know what? It would be so nice if we could go to this song.
We could. I'm sorry. I digress. The reason I digress.
I know we digress a lot on this.
Well, that should be the name of the podcast, the Digression Podcast. I think that Syd, like when it became a job, it wasn't for him anymore.
I think that's a really good point. And
worked on his brain badly.
And then on top of that, he felt responsible for pulling these guys up to making them money, so they didn't have to get real jobs. And it just, I don't. Again, we were talking about the 1960s. Can you hear me?
You sound magnificent.
Okay. It said I was muted. Sorry. We're talking about the 1960s when... Oh, Mark, cut that, by the way. When mental health is not a thing. You know, what we would call PTSD now. What did they call it back in... Oh, God, what did they call it?
Shell shock.
Shell shock, thank you. And how did George Patton fix shell shock? Get him to the front. And, anyway... So we're not far from that. That kind of thinking is still coloring the era we're discussing. So, but at this time, Pink Floyd is no longer just this thing they do as buddies at this club where they put a psychedelic light show on behind them for £5.50 that they can go spend at the bar afterwards. Now there are managers, there are producers, there are record labels, and there are there are rents to pay. It got real. It got very real very quick. So now we move on to quite possibly the worst song on the record. It Would Be So Nice. Nick Mason and Roger Waters have both discussed their disdain for this track. Gonna go ahead and agree with them. This sounds nothing like what you would think Pink Floyd would put out. And it is not up to... It's just not up to... It is not up to scratch. It does not meet the level of expectation.
And it's a Rick track. It's not even a Syd. You can't even blame Syd for this.
No, this is a Rick track.
I have very little recollection. For some reason, Julia Dream I fucking love and know. I don't know why, but I know it and love it. And this song, I barely remember it. Even listening to it today a few times, I was like, not registering. I guess it just didn't leave an impression on me.
It registered. I heard it. I went, wow, Nick and Roger were right. Moving on. Speaking of moving on, Paint Box, which is the Apples and Oranges B-side, because that makes sense. A much better song than It Would Be So Nice.
Is a top-tier song for this collection of songs.
Oh, for this collection, most definitely.
Fantastic song. Did well as a single. People wanted to hear it at shows.
Oh, I realized why Point Me to the Sky didn't even make this collection, because it was their worst charting single. It was like in and gone.
But it's weird because the label that put this out is not the label that owned
Yes, it is.
But it's not the label that put the single out, is it?
Oh, no. I apologize. This label did not own Point Me at the Sky. That's why it's not on here. Yeah, it just got completely left off of everything. Because it didn't make... Because what Harvest did...
Imagine the person that was walking around in 1970 and bought this record at a record store and was like, where is that song I want?
It probably
the Nick Cameron of British Nick Cameron in 1971 is like, where's my song?
Actually, it would be Parisian Nick Cameron in 1974 for the version I have. But because Harvest just did the exact same thing that Columbia did when Pink Floyd moved on. They just started re-releasing compilations. They released, I think, 3. There was.
But again, that's because also records came out at different times, not even just different weeks, different seasons sometimes.
Yeah, because they had of course Relics and Works, and I want to say a collection of great dance tunes. That was EMI. That was Capitol. That was Capitol.
Later.
Yeah, but they put out at least
that's
2.
Basically the remix of the remix of Delicate Sound of Thunder.
No. Great Dance Songs is way before that.
Yeah, that's the one with the
There's only one
Not
song on
Echoes,
there.
but the other one of these days dance remix that I love. That's no one likes.
There's I don't know if that's on there. But there's one song David did that's like the only you can only get that version of that song on this one thing.
I know what you're talking about.
But it wasn't worth it enough for me to spend $30 to get another
Yep.
compilation. Alrighty, moving on to Julia Dream. Go ahead and piddle paddle.
I love Julia Dream. It's actually a good song. Roger wrote this, and like I said, the later versions, not the original version, is the Roger vocal. And then I guess when David was in the band at the same time as Syd, they were trying to finish Saucer. David did a take of this, and that's the take on the 76. I'm trying to process this, and maybe you can explain this. Original single mono mix reprocessed in duophonic. Do you know what the fuck that means?
Yes.
I mean, obviously, I think I know what it means, but I want
it
you
means
to
somebody got high and made a word.
Oh,
I have no idea. I'm gonna guess this is it's do. I'm guessing they wanted it to be in stereo, so probably what they did was they. This is a guess. Just double tracked it, and then they would like mix it that way. So if you have each track going on both sides, and then you up this, up that by channel, you could create a faux stereo mix. I'm gonna guess that's what that is.
all right, fair enough. That's probably what I would have gathered. Julia Dream,
Great song. Are you so
second or
Roger
third
sang it
best song,
originally?
Roger sang it originally, maybe with a Rick backing vocal or
I've
Syd
never heard.
backing vocal. I
I've
don't think
never.
Syd did any backing vocals, but
I don't
could
believe
be
he
wrong.
did.
But
Also, I forget what song it was, and I think we're already well past it now. But there was a song on side one where we had that Roger cackle. I don't know what you would call it.
yeah, the signature Roger laugh is in there.
That one, like the thing he does on Heart of the Sun. I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stupid.
It's unnecessary. Thanks, buddy.
Completely. Don't do it. And this ends up with See Emily Play. This is something we all know, we all love. This apparently was the only song on this album that, not that they would have thought of this as an album, but this is the only song from this compilation that they thought well enough of to actually release on Amagama. Which it's interesting. So what we have here is we have some prehistoric Pink Floyd. And I am the kind of person that loves to have the entire snapshot of everything, which also includes solo records. I have all of Roger's solo records. I have basically all of Nik's. I'm missing the one that was only released by itself in the box set, which I did not purchase. I have one of Rick's solo records. Broken China was not released on vinyl. And the album he did collaboratively called Z is quite possibly one of the worst things I've ever heard. And Rick described it as a mistake not long after he had done it. Probably after he sobered up and listened to it. And I love all of this. I love to be able to listen to a band vertically. And that's why, like, my copy of Saucer and Piper are in the A Nice Pair release, which Harvest released much later, multiple times in multiple countries, decapitalized. But all in all, this is a very loose 30 minutes. It's not even a tight 30. It's unfortunate that there's not really any gems here. But when you're talking about a band as big as Pink Floyd, because we're talking about a band that could play stadiums in the 70s. 10 years after they're recording these songs, they're playing American football stadiums. And Canadian football stadiums, too.
And South America. And
right.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild.
So anything worth hearing is probably going to be dredged up.
That is true. And then my final thought on this is you brought up an excellent point. That some of these things were never re-released ever. And so
until much, much later box sets.
So for the Shine On This album in total, the 74 cut from the original master, technically, ended up on the Shine On box set, which was a box set, a complete box set of all the studio albums of Pink Floyd, and this in 1992. I think I
I
got it.
remember that. I
I got
remember
it
that
for
stuff.
Christmas in 1992 as a gift. I no longer possess it, which sucks. I maybe only listened to it the whole way through two or three times. It was amazing sounding on my old setup. I had these great 70s Kenwood speakers and a great receiver, and then I had the CD 5 CD changer Sony, and they were amazing. Remixed by Gilmore, I think, and Guthrie, right? Who they still love working with to
Believe
this
so.
day.
That was a big thing on the Home Shopping Network.
Sure, it was peak box set time in America.
Oh God, yes. That was when the
Yeah,
box set became an art form.
yeah. Christmas, every Christmas, November, Black Friday box sets went on sale, and you just Christmas gifts. So yeah, that's I mean, like some of this stuff was mothballed forever. And then, like I said, I think as the band got bigger and bigger, people paid more attention to, like I said, we'll talk about it in the next couple of weeks, especially next week. Pink Floyd, the band live, Syd Barrett, sorry, Syd Barrett, the spectacle, and Pink Floyd, the studio band are all three things, three separate things.
Very, very different things. And we are going to discuss next week's album that we're going to discuss is only 2 tracks,
That's correct.
which is kind of crazy.
It's wild.
I will let you take us home. I think
Oh,
we
is it
said
my
all,
turn?
it
It's
is your
my
turn.
turn. All right, sir. This has been my trepidation about doing Pink Floyd at all anymore is gone, thanks to you. You have been listening to the Glacially Musical Podcast. We are here every week. I am your co-host, Ghost Cult Keefy, at Ghost Cult Mag, at Ghost Cult Keefy. The sounds of San Francisco behind me. It's like a garbage truck backing up the entire length of the whole city this
I haven't seen
entire
a garbage
time.
truck in weeks.
Oh shit. Well, you have snow. I don't. Um, your host Nick Cameron is here. Blue Sky is now going to become like our preferred thing beside YouTube and podcasts. But wherever we're at on socials, give us a follow. Buy something from our links. I'll redo the link tree at some point soon, and you can buy stuff. It helps support the podcast. We appreciate it. But make sure you listen, like, and subscribe. If you know someone that loves Pink Floyd, share, because we're going to do several more Pink Floyd series this year, and we're going to bring back the metal also. You will not escape it. Good God, what is going on in San Francisco? But anyway, this is the Glacially Musical Podcast that does not play in Peoria. Syd Barrett never played in Peoria.
Are we sure about that?
I'm pretty sure he never did.
Okay.
I don't think
Night,
so.
everybody.
Peace. One of these turns it off.